Target during this time. We're usually in the morning, but now we're in the evening, and I'm really excited. I'm excited to have some new audience, a new audience to speak with, talk about some real conversation for the city. All right, a lot of things going on, and we got a lot of announcements. Aside from the fact that we are now in our prime time slot, but also we have 2 hours. So it's not 2 hours on live. We're going to be live on the radio. If you can't check us out on the radio, go to our YouTube page, Moving Target Podcast. Go to our Facebook page, Moving Target Podcast, and we'll be releasing episodes every Monday. And we have a new podcast that is starting, the B-Side Podcast. Y'all remember B-Side? Remember every single time a tape was released or an album was released, you always had to go to the B-Side. The B-Side had the real stuff, the raw, uncut stuff. So that's what this is going to be, all right? B-Side Podcast. It's going to be the raw stuff, a lot of things that we can't say on air, a lot of things that we just, can't really talk about. We're going to be talking about it on the B-Side. So the B-Side Podcast, every episode will come out on Wednesdays on YouTube. So make sure you check us out on YouTube. Make sure you check us out on Facebook to get all the latest information, all the latest things that we're going to be talking about. It's a lot of real stuff that I just can't normally talk about on air. I usually want to, but yeah. So we're still waiting for some people to come in. Of course, we're waiting for guests. It's Sunday. Parking is terrible downtown New Haven, so there are people trying to do that. All right, but we got a great show for you today. All right, 2020, we are here. Trump is possibly, maybe going to be reelected. I'm not sure. We'll see what's going to happen. But I will say that the black vote, it's very surprising how the black vote is, I don't know. I think the black vote might be getting Trump in office. You let me know what you think. I really think the black vote is going to be getting Trump in office. But we're going to see. We're going to see. And the reason why I say that is because we have a brother that's going to be calling in. All right. Brother Bourne, who surprisingly enough, he's a black nationalist. Black nationalist. And we got, Brother Rem.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, brother?
Yes, Super Sundays.
Let's get you on. Let's make sure we got you on there. Go ahead, brother.
Super Sundays. We're back. Wait, hold on. We about to get focused. Y'all got pardon us for a few technical difficulties.
I don't think you're on there. How about now? Try that now.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We apologize for that. It was a pretty weird start. We didn't have our intro. Usually we have our intro. We didn't have that. But we have Brother Bourne that's going to be calling in. He's a black nationalist and a very avid Trump supporter. And I'm sometimes trying to understand, how is that possible? How exactly is that possible?
I don't see it, man. I don't see it, and I don't understand it. I can't wait for him to call in and see what's going on and see what's up with that whole thing, man. We're back at it, Super Sundays, and it's a great topic to bring the show in. So we're excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna get into that and I'll get into why this kind of came up. It wasn't just the fact that I was talking with Brother Bourne about, who he is supporting, politically. But I actually read an article in the Washington Examiner that I really want to touch on. So we're going to get to that momentarily. But first and foremost, we got some New Haven news I want to touch on that really upset me, man. It really upset me. And I'm really tired of the constant police brutality.
Okay.
All right. Video gives a view of Chase. This is in the New Haven Register. Video gives a view of Chase and shooting. Questions remain about the police encounter that left New Haven teen dead. A Connecticut State police trooper held his gun steady late Wednesday afternoon as he fired 7 times into a vehicle with a 19-year-old New Haven teen in the driver's seat. Body and dashboard camera footage of the deadly incident showed. So, and the trooper's name is Brian North, a 4.5-year member of the state police force, had been one of the officers who pursued Mubarak Suleiman excuse me if I'm getting that name wrong, on Interstate 95 from the Bridgeport area into West Haven. I'm trying to understand what methods of de-escalation are they really taking when it comes to police brutality. I don't see, how do you fire that many times into a car? I didn't hear anything about a gun. I didn't hear anything about no other threat other than a possible threat. You're a police officer, so you know there's a possibility something's going to happen.
Right.
So you know, and I get that. That's a dangerous job.
Right.
But you fired 7 shots?
So, for me, this goes back to, for a long time, we've been called radicals. We've been called all kind of things, theorists,
terrorists,
conspiracy theorists, all of these different things we've been called when we've spoken out critically against these things and trying to help people gauge and understand, like, literally, we are at war. I don't think they go through no process of de-escalation when it comes to people of color. I really don't feel like they do. I feel like it's a level of already being escalated to the max when they get to these scenes or they get in these certain confrontations. They're already at that level where it's just like, listen, man, the first thing they thinking about is we got to lay them down.
Yeah.
We got to lay them down.
Because as soon as you see black, and that's the thing. As soon as police officers see a black person, it's, okay, so they're dangerous. I possibly, that's already going on in their mind. I'm even thinking about a police officer that might have came from a hick town.
Right.
And the only image, the only narrative he ever had, he or she ever had of black people is mainly media.
Demonized.
What they got demonized.
Yep.
So you're already approaching the situation and seeing a black person automatically thinking this person probably got a gun.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So and that's what I think it really is.
Right.
And I really want police officers who are white, coming from suburban towns, can you just keep it real? Can you just keep it honest and just say, listen, I have a bias. I have a blind spot of how I see black people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You feel it in your stomach that this feeling of, look, I have blind spots too.
Right.
If I see somebody who might be, if I see white people and it's a room full of white people, I will automatically, and I have to check myself, assume that there's, racism here or some type of stereotype. They're looking at me, and that's not cool.
Well, I mean, no, but see, I wouldn't go as far as saying that's not cool. No, where I would go as far as saying it's not cool is if you let that leak out of your.
That's what, and
you know what I mean?
And many times that's what happens.
Okay, see,
and the reason why I say that, and the way it happens is I might be more standoffish.
Right.
I might not talk. I might not be as comfortable.
Right.
And that's not really cool. You got to be able to at least give some room and space to be able to, be as normal or be comfortable.
Yo, but see, that's a very, very hard thing, man. So first off, it would be a beautiful thing if we could have those, police officers be transparent like that. But of course, they're not going to be transparent like that, especially because if they do that, then they are speaking to exactly who the United Snakes of America is. They're speaking to that. You know what I mean? And this is across the board. And secondly, it's hard for us to be in positions like that because, bruh, look, we out here and have experienced and been traumatized by racism.
Yeah.
By these acts that go against us where you could tell people are just being mean and facetious just because of the color of your skin.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. This makes it makes absolutely no sense. And those officers need to also recognize that now you're dealing with youth, you're dealing with young people of color, older people of color, that they're fearful themselves.
Absolutely.
So the first thing a lot of people think, especially when your life is in danger, it's like fight or flight.
Right.
And some of them just automatically, I don't want to be killed. If it's subconsciously, it just resonates in you. I don't want to be killed. They're going. They're taking off.
Yeah.
So who knows why that brother ran?
7 shots.
7 shots, man. Insane.
Yeah.
And when, and shameful on me, but when did this happen?
I believe, I'm not sure exactly when this took place, but I know that this it happened, a few days ago,
Okay.
if not a little while ago.
This is recent.
But
though.
the video has been released,
Wow.
and that's in the New Haven Register.
So he
that
was
released
pursued
today.
by a state trooper.
Yes, 19 years old,
Pursued by a state trooper, man.
which is still a kid.
He's still a kid.
That's not a man.
Nah, not at all.
It's another thing I don't like in the paper. They say a man was shot, and then I look at how old the man was. He was 14.
Right.
Not a man.
I mean, you consistently talk about media literacy, bro, and that again goes to
You
the
gotta check that.
narrative that's painted. When they talk about a 19-year-old Caucasian kid, they will say 19-year-old kid.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or white kid.
Or at least young man.
You
At
know,
least.
at least young man. But
Yeah.
they'll give, because automatically when you think of a kid, when you think of a young man, you automatically start giving credit to their lack of maturity. You automatically start maybe feeling a little bad for them. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
And they paint that whole picture. But of course, for us, it doesn't go that route.
Well, we definitely want to, keep the family in our prayers of the victim, and
In New
we
Haven,
want to
kid?
see justice. New Haven, yeah. Well, it was coming from Bridgeport into West Haven.
But it's a New Haven kid. He's from New Haven?
New Haven teen, yeah, 19-year-old New Haven teen.
He came from Norwalk, actually.
Oh, it says here New Haven teen,
It started in Norwalk. Norwalk ceased the chase.
but he's from New Haven.
He's
Yeah,
from
he's
New
from
Haven. That's
New
what I
Haven.
asked.
Yeah, that's
right.
what he was asking.
Right.
Oh,
So
the
we're gonna
chase started.
we're gonna
So-
have to reach out to that family, man.
So for everybody who just heard, who's that voice? That is the lovely Grace the Stallion. What's going on?
Hi.
Yeah.
What's good? Happy Sunday.
Happy
Love and
Super Sunday.
blessings.
Yeah, so you don't even know what to say, man. You're usually all Super Saturday, Super Saturday.
Happy Super Saturday. I almost said it. Happy Super Sunday.
So it's good to have y'all here, man. And as y'all know, our brother Remedy Sharif, that's my co-host, always come through.
Yes.
It's good to have y'all here. I know you were trying to find parking. I was trying to find parking too, and then I got stopped by the brother. You know the hustle that brothers do when they say, "Hey, bro, what's going on? I ain't seen you in a minute." And I'm like, "Do I know this, brother?"
Right.
He's like, "Hey, man, listen, I gotta get this train, bro." And I'm like,
I'm $2.25 short.
"That's all I need. I just gotta get this train." I'm like, "Come on, bro. I saw you last week try the same thing. I do not know you.
He back and forth.
Gotta
man.
try that different hustle, man."
Yes, yo, parking is brutal.
And he shows the badge and everything, his ID. Like, look, this is my ID. Like, that's gonna help. That's gonna make me be like, all right.
It's hustles, man. It's the season of hustle, but it's the
No
season,
doubt.
But it's 2020. That's the season of vision.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect vision, man. We gotta be insightful and everything else on,
Yeah. So we are going to get into this episode. We're gonna get into this topic, should I say? All right. We got Brother Born that's gonna be calling in. Pretty soon, you all will be able to call in 203-562-9430. And I think some of y'all are probably gonna be upset, screaming at the radio. You know what I mean? But we also got a really great brother, and we really appreciate him coming through. All right, and we got Kalfani Teray. What's up, bro?
How's it going, bro?
It's good
How's
to
it
see
going,
you
family?
again.
good to see you, man.
This is Super Sunday.
Happy
Yes,
New
sir.
Year.
Super Sunday. It's good to be here.
Happy New Year,
We
brother.
talk about this.
When do we stop with the Happy New Year? Is that after January?
After January.
Okay, so
Okay.
February is no more Happy New Year.
But let's make sure when spring comes around, we bring the Happy New Year to each other too.
No doubt.
Because we're talking about the cycle of life real quick. We're talking about the cycle of
Oh,
life, the cycle
okay.
of the earth. Spring is really the new year, and that's when we, the original people, really celebrated New Year's was in the
Oh,
spring.
okay.
That's right,
The
teach.
earth is coming back to life.
Okay.
We celebrating New Year's in the dead of winter here in caveman America.
2020 should have been planned back in 2015.
Absolutely.
Vision should already been there.
Absolutely.
You know. So we're gonna get into this. Washington Examiner. All right. There was an article at the for the Washington Examiner, and it was talking about that the black voters for Trump is at its highest ever and still increasing. So we're just gonna. I want to be able to. Yeah, I know. It's real crazy. And I spoke with Brother Bourne, and Brother Bourne agrees. He agrees. He's actually really in support of Trump, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of black folk that are in support of Trump, love what he's doing.
Right.
They feel like, he's for them. But I just want to go through a few numbers here. All right, I'm going to pull this up here. Black voter support for Trump at highest levels and could seal 2020 win. A growing number of polls show that President Trump is gaining the support of black voters above what any Republican president has ever received. Both Emerson polling and Rasmussen reports have it about 34%, which is a crazy number. And a new Zogby Analytics survey found that African American support is at the highest levels of the year, driven by a strong economy, historically low black unemployment, and Trump's agenda to support minority small businesses, historically black colleges and universities, and the passage of criminal justice reform, which is all true. Which is all true. He did do all that. And so now, not only is it at its highest, but it's increasing. So the question is,
what the hell is going on? Let's just.
That's the question.
That's the question.
So Brother Bourne has not called in yet, but I'm gonna go with you, Kalfani Teray. I mean, I wanted you here to give another side of this.
So wait. So
Yeah.
Let me just say, Jay. So when you told me that you was gonna have Brother Bourne on the show and what the show and everything was gonna be about, you always give out tons of information.
Sure.
I try to give what information that I could give when I could give it, and today I am an avid listener, an avid learner, because I do not understand this not one bit.
Of why
I
Trump
don't
is,
understand why the hell Trump is.
of why the black vote is.
It's so hard for Trump. I listened to what you read, but it just seems like it's too much deception. I don't know, man. Something's not right.
You know what I think it is? I feel the Democrats are messing it up. I feel more and more the Democrats. I feel a lot of people are starting to realize that the Democratic Party has never really been for them, and black folk have been voting emotionally for Democrats, not knowing what the Democrats are actually doing for them or demanding it.
Right.
Meanwhile, they look at the other side and they're like, wait, so it's coming from over here?
Okay.
And I feel a lot of people are starting to wake up to that.
Right.
And so they're like, yo, I think we're going to go with Trump. That's what I feel is happening. I feel the Democrats need to get up on their job, for once. Because truth be told, I don't know if Democratic Party was ever for black people.
Right.
But I want to go to Kalfani Teray.
Absolutely.
I would love to hear your thoughts, brother, on this phenomenon, I call it, of
Sure.
black voters going for Trump.
No, that's an important question of the hour. I'm looking forward to hearing Brother Bourne's comments, since it seems that he is pro-Trump. I would first like to note that we are speaking on the eve of Dr. Martin Luther King, a beloved warrior of ours, particularly in the later stages of his life, where he spoke out against the Vietnam War, and he was a little bit more radical. In fact, Dr. Martin Luther King is a fraternity brother of mine, and so in the spirit of love, I might be tongue-in-cheek in this next 2 hours, but I'm not going to turn the cheek.
Let's go.
Now, Dr. King once said that the ultimate measure of man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And if you look at the past 3 years, sort of status of black people, the so-called gains that Trump has outlined to the Black Voices for Trump out in Atlanta and some of the other marginal groups, you cannot deny the fact that Trump ranks very high in mendacity and very low in veracity. In fact, that he is ranking high in turpitude and very low in aptitude. But all that he espouses is antithetical to black people's existence.
Okay.
And so I don't support Trump, but like you, Brother Kemp, I am very critical about electoral politics. And so I hope that in this moment we can get into that. There's a lot of people that support Trump, and the Rasmussen's poll ranks him somewhere, at least African American support for him, somewhere in the 30%. I'm not sure about that poll. In fact, I'll tell you the truth. You can lie with statistics.
Absolutely.
Yes, you can.
And you can lie with numbers.
Yes.
And just the articulation of a particular number leads the masses of sheep, the masses of uncritical people to, in fact, to believe that there's some gold, some truth there, and that we should, in fact, support it. I don't think that that's the case, but certainly in the last election in 2016, we had 8 to 10% of people vote in favor of Trump. Now, this is a strategy that Trump has sort of deployed, is not necessarily to increase the numbers of African people or African American people to support him, but is to diminish the numbers of black people who support the Democrat Party. So there's a strategy at play. It's not that Trump loves black people. In fact, Trump
Right.
has never loved black
Never.
people.
Right.
And as early as in the early 1970s, the Department of Justice went after Mr. Fred Trump and Mr. Trump Jr. or Donald Trump at that time. So, yeah, I want to get into this and
Yeah.
unravel this.
Yeah, well, so far, Brother Bourne is running
It seems like
because he has not called in.
It seems like
Brother Bourne, where you at? Where you at?
You know, and that's
Somebody go on Facebook and say, "Hey, Brother Bourne, they calling for you on the radio."
You know, but see, that's why I had to call. I had to get in contact with Brother Teray, as I like to call you, Brother True.
That's
You know what I'm saying? Because the brother's the truth for
Yeah,
real, man.
absolutely.
He breaks things down, helps us understand it on a whole nother level.
He's New Haven's. Well, no, he's Calfani Teray. I was gonna say he's New Haven's Eric Dyson, Michael Eric Dyson,
Right.
but
No.
I'm like, nah, he's Calfani Teray.
Yes, sir.
Well above that. So I know that at one point Trump was actually loved in the black community. At one point, Don King, other rappers used to always reference him. He used to make little appearances here and there. You know, the argument from a lot of black Republicans is that the Democratic Party decided to take the narrative of making Trump a racist.
And but what that seems like is you're
Seriously?
speaking about a lot of people that are not in touch with the real needs of people of color. We're talking about
Is that fair to say though? You don't know these people.
I don't know these people, and maybe it's not fair to say, but from their actions, from what they showed, the names that you just said, Don King, at one point he was because of the life he lived, but when he got to his stat, look at Don King's track record. He's not in touch with the things that the people.
Oh, you mean those people?
Those people,
Okay, yeah.
right, are not really in touch with people that are everyday living people that these politicians really
Even Jesse
affect.
Jackson though. Jesse Jackson was close with Trump too.
Man, but yeah, and not only that, he was caught on tape calling Barack.
Yes, he
calling
was.
him on tape. So
Yeah, he
come on,
was.
man. What you
He
doing,
got
Jesse?
caught. He got caught.
You know, if I could just interject,
Yes,
you know,
do.
what's really interesting about, and so we need to understand black culture. It was important for us to speak to both the head and the heart. And somewhere along the way, we began to speak to the heart, and it became something about the show. And so Dougie Fresh and my brother Slick Rick, the show, right?
Mhm.
And so we begin to engage in the performance. And Donald Trump, Mr. Trump, quite honestly, is good at performing. He's
Mhm.
very good at performing.
Very good.
And so this is something about the black strategy of existence. And let me explain it this way.
Yeah.
That we all seek wealth. Wealth may not just be monetary, but wealth can be broken down into three different components. It is economics, it is power or politics, and it is status. And so one of the things that we understood, in fact, Little Kim said it best, first you seek the money, then you seek the power, and then you get the respect. And so what, in fact, we understood the fungibility of these three components is that you got to get the status, and if you can get the status, in fact, then you can fungibly convert that into economic power and political power. And so Trump being a showman as he is, and sort of drawing and resonating with that ability of us to speak to the heart and our lack of clarity around the need to speak to the head, it was a resonance. And so we drew to Trump, and in fact, a lot of hip-hop artists, even after Central Park 5,
Yes.
would
Especially after.
often allude to him in their rap lyrics because it was about the celebrity status.
Right.
Right.
Right?
Right. Absolutely. And just by the way, never thought that in this conversation a quote from Lil Kim would be so
Oh,
productive.
got to keep it hip hop. you said Jay-Z earlier. I need to go with Little Kim.
No
Bad
doubt.
boy. Yeah.
No doubt.
What bothers me is that people actually fall for what Trump is doing. Like he said, it's a distraction, and people are really falling for it, especially black people.
But are they falling for it? See, that's
It's
my
an
question.
act. He does not care about us.
But my question is this: are people falling for him caring for us, or are they falling for him actually getting something done?
There's other people who've gotten things done for us.
I'm
There
like,
are
so
people
who?
that can come after him that will still get things done for us. Why does it have to be him? Everything he stands for is absurd. Like Trump, this makes me mad. This whole topic really does make me mad.
I
So
told
I'm
you.
trying to stay quiet, but I'm just like,
We
the
don't need
fact
you to
that
be
we are
quiet.
going to put this man in office for another 4 years, it's sickening.
Yeah.
Everything he stands for is disgusting.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree. Trump is not for black people.
At
I guess,
all.
but my question is, do we support the ones who are putting forth policy, or do we support the ones who don't? And then when I look at the Democrats, I don't see policy that's actually supporting black people. I just don't see it. And that's, for me, I want to be able to see it because I don't want to vote for Trump. Actually, I'm actually rocking with Andrew Yang. I kind of like Andrew Yang. I like Andrew Yang on his artificial intelligence agenda. He knows the importance of artificial intelligence and how important it is that we get on the ball with that. And a lot of people aren't talking about that. They look at technology and artificial intelligence and think, oh, that's just like tech stuff. No, that's the future of our whole country. That's exactly where we're going to be. And China's going to beat us if we don't get on the ball. And he is very big on that. So I kind of like Andrew Yang. But again, when I look in the history of Democrats, I don't see much policy that was pushed, even under Obama, that was in such support for Trump. For black people. So that's where I feel what is happening. I don't know if these black people who are supporting Trump think Trump is for black people, like he cares. But I do think they're looking at policy and saying, oh, he's getting the job done.
So they're not looking at all the things he's not doing, all the things that he's doing that is wrong.
No, they're looking
all
at
they're just looking at the things he did for black people.
doing.
That's
No, they're looking at
one-sided.
jobs. They're looking at prison reform. They're looking at historically black colleges. All these things he said. So I don't know if it's an agenda or if it's a distraction, or is it that more and more people, especially young black people, are looking at, forget the emotions of it, what's the policy? And they're looking at him with the policy that's actually supporting them, and they're looking at Democrats as, y'all are the distraction. Even, what's the sister's name? Candace Owens. Candace Owens at the, with T.I. and Killer Mike at the Revolt panel, Revolt TV, they had a panel, and they were trying to trash Candace Owens, but she was dropping truth. And then Killer Mike had to co-sign with her and say, yo, y'all not listening to her. She's dropping truth on the manipulation of the Democratic Party. And I think more and more young black people are getting woke to that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's supporting Trump or is it supporting policy.
Yeah, no, it's complicated. In fact, to be quite honest, it's complicated. Trump's First Step Act, which was this beginning, if you will, of mass incarceration of people of color, particularly black people, is significant. And I don't want to, in my sort of position against Trump, to dismiss or diminish that. I think that that's really important. I think you're right, Brother Kemp and Brother Sharif, that, the Democrat Party has taken for granted the black vote. In fact, they expect to get our vote
all the time.
And so even, it's been really sort of defeating looking at the sort of presidential, the Democratic nominative forums or debates, as they would call them, just to hear them say, hey, we're going to give reparations.
Yeah, all of a sudden now.
So
we're going to lose the black vote. Reparations.
So they're doing nothing more than what Trump does when he throws his red meat to his constituency. Yeah. They're throwing it to us to get us hyped up. And typically what happens after the election sort of goes over, the question becomes, or the challenge becomes, well, you got me in office now, what else are you going to do?
Right.
We're looking at these leaders as if just as we looked at Obama saying, okay, we got you in office, now what you going to do for us? And every group of people, ethnic or racial, always goes to their particular leader and say, this is our 10-point plan. We will support you if, in fact, you enact these things once you're in office.
Right. So I believe this is Brother Bourne. So
Sure,
hopefully it is. Let's go. Let's go to this phone call. 94.3. Peace, Brother Bourne. All right. Are you speaking into the phone, bro? I want to make sure we can hear you clear. I want to make sure we can hear you clear. You sound kind of muffled.
You sound a little low, bro. Yes, sir.
Oh, I can hear you good there. Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for joining us, brother. I thought you was running. All right. I don't have to remind you, but you already know we are live on air, so You know, no cussing. All right, but we will stay once we're done with this hour. You know we never get done, so we're gonna take a quick break, and then online we're gonna go live and we're gonna continue this conversation. All right, so once we leave the radio, we will not be done with the show. You could join us on Facebook Live, and we're gonna be going live there. So, Brother Bourne, we were talking about this phenomenon of which I call phenomenon of this increase of black people voting for Trump and supporting Trump. And what is interesting about you is you're a black nationalist and you still support Trump. Can you tell me why? Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh yeah, I was just talking about that. Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I want Kalfani to read it. He's itching right now to to respond.
I'm
So
literally scratching. It's good to be in conversation with your brother Bourne. It reminds me of the lessons that I once received early in my life somewhere up in Harlem. And that the idea of being born or reborn that we create, right, with the words, you say, consider all thoughts, speech, and actions, because we create through energy, we create new life. And so I'm glad to be in conversation with you. I just want to say that part of the lessons that I received somewhere up in Harlem, they would tell me that you don't want to discount facts. And I think what's interesting about Mr. Trump is that he, in his political speeches or his campaigns or rallies or whatever you want to call them, he usually evokes the snake, which is a song written by Al Wilson based on Aesop fables, the farmer and the snake, or the farmer and the viper. And in this song, he talks about a woman who finds a snake on the side of the road, and she takes the snake back to her house, and she sort of nurtures it. And then at some point in the story or the song, the snake bites the woman. And he's the venomous snake, so he kills her. And the snake says, well, you knew that I was a snake when you took me in. And so I want to stick with you, brother, with that name so powerful. I want to drop facts. And this man is giving you facts of who he is. It reminds me of Hitler in the days preceding World War II, when he sort of went after the Jews and the Rhineland bastards, as they would call them, the Africans who would be left as a result of World War I. And many other people, and when he genocided these people, so you had Jewish people who would vote for Hitler and would support him. But Hitler said at that death chamber, he said, you knew who I was when you voted for me. And so I think we need to be careful. Certainly we have strayed away from speaking to the head and only to the heart. But brother, I'm approaching you with facts, and I'm speaking to the head about Trump.
So that's my thing. I'm sorry, Born. Go ahead, Born. Continue, brother. So what's interesting is that, and I wasn't setting you up, brother. I'm glad you asked for facts. In the early 1970s, the Department of Justice went after Trump and his father over housing discrimination. 39 properties throughout the state of New York or throughout the city of New York. He discriminated against African-American homeowners. His pattern of racism continued into 1991 when he went after the Native Americans who were trying to open up casinos in the state of New York. He felt that it would adversely affect his properties in Atlantic City. And so he would lie in front of Congress, in fact, and this is well documented, thinking about facts. And he would say that these were drug addicts, and they were and these Native Americans weren't Native Americans. In fact, he said, quote unquote, they don't look Native American to me. And he would tell Congress that, in fact, it was the mob who had infiltrated these groups and used the Native Americans as a front in order to open up casinos in the Catskills. In 2005, when he was doing his show, The Apprentice, at that time we had American Idol, and I think we had another reality TV show, and he was successful in the show. But he would propose to NBC that he wanted to have a group of white blondes go up against African Americans. In fact, a brother that went to school with me at Rutgers State University of New Jersey, Randall Pinkett, when Randall Pinkett won, he told Randall that he must share his success with the runner-up, who was a white female. We're thinking about racism. He talked about Elizabeth Warren, and he called her Pocahontas. And just the
the idea, the legacy of Pocahontas, who was an indigenous person raped by a grown man, a colonizer, and someone who in fact was, who would help to ensure the enslavement of African people throughout what we now know as America. These are facts, brother. And I can continue to talk about the Central Park Five, who after the exculpatory evidence of DNA, he still says in 2020 that these people are guilty and they deserve the death penalty. Now, I just cherry-picked a few because his corruptness is voluminous. what, what I'm telling you, what I'm telling you, brother. What, what, well, well, fir- Well, first, I didn't tell you that I was uncritical of the Democratic ticket. All I'm simply saying that as a snake oil salesman, his words is not without consequence. I'll give you another example here. And you're thinking about Puerto Rico with some of our African brothers or our brothers of color on the island who are part of the United States. He held back aid for several months out of the sort of argument that this was a corrupt country, but supported our Congress with giving Israel $3.3 billion without delay. And as a snake oil salesman in the presidential seat, his words have consequences. We have 3,900 people who have died, and the delay of this aid to our citizens has caused other people to die. We had to wait to earthquakes to hit Puerto Rico. So you want to talk about policies? I'm giving you examples of policies where the consequences are great. Absolutely, absolutely not.
Mm. So, Brother Bourne, before we take a quick break, and we're going to return back live on Facebook and on YouTube at 8 o'clock to continue this conversation, I wanted to ask you, is there anybody from the Democratic Party that on the ticket that you feel has policy that would, create the upward mobility of black people?
But the poor black people that are already here aren't seeing nothing from Trump and the rest of them anyway. Or everything that Trump, it seems like everything that Trump and these politicians do affect people that are in the high tax bracket, the top 1%. That's who get all the tax breaks. That's who get all the benefit. Even the black people that are in that top 1%, they benefit from it.
So I wanna just pause right there. Sorry, Brother Bourne. We're gonna get you right back on the line. We're gonna pause right there. We're gonna return back at 8:00 on our Facebook and YouTube page. This is 94.3 WYBC, Rhythm of the City. Thank you for tuning in. This is Moving Target.
Peace.
Peace.